It's in presenter mode, not in presentation mode.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we can see your.
The wrong one.
I think it's on your monitor. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, great. So thanks everyone, and welcome to this session. This session will be mixed between two different topics. So in the first half, together with the help of Edwin and Mamusha, we'll present the capacity development cross-cutting work for the CRP. And in the second part, together with Nicole, we'll present the scaling part. So in terms of the context for the capacity development work, I thought it would be helpful to frame some of this in the historical context. So as you may recall, we had at the time of preparing the second round of the CRP proposals, we had a, whoops, we had guidance on the capacity development framework for the second round of the CRPs. We had identified some areas that would be priority for the CRP, like creating innovative approaches and doing capacity assessments and so on. We then proceeded, we started with doing, sorry, I'm getting the poll stuck on my screen, which is a little bit blocking me.
Sorry, let me end this.
Yeah. And then the first big work taking place in this area was the capacity needs assessment that was done in 5 of the CRP countries. This is before we had zoomed on the 4 priority countries, but it had covered 3 out of the 4 priority countries in the exercise. And subsequent to that, there was prioritization on what we're going to work on and where. We ended up doing capacity development work that focused on a lot of the workshop and training, both the material and the delivery, as well as a range of digital extension methods and so on. So that is the primary thrust. And of course, with the introduction of the priority countries, we had focused our work there, and that's what Edwin and Mamusha will speak to right after this slide. But I do want to frame this as well and to remind us that actually most of the capacity development work happens within the projects, within the flagships. And so part of this work is also about coordination and synthesizing the work that happens across all parts of the CRP. But we thought it would be also useful at this stage to give you some examples of current capacity development, some of the highlights of what we're doing in the priority countries. And so I would like to invite first Edwin and then Mamusha to share a little bit in terms of the work that they're doing in countries.
Thank you, Iddo. So I'll cover the areas that we work with around digital extension and learning. And this project basically, or this work is around, the objective is to take the research outputs that we have and see how can we transform this mostly scientific outputs into products that are user friendly for the farmers or for the 8 mile target group. These are farmers, extension workers, and those are the cadres that are further down the value chain. This work is basically or summarized into 3 parts. We have solution providers or service providers, and these are digital service providers that we want to create an environment or to attract them into the work that we are doing, in this case, livestock work, agriculture, but in livestock. And in the two contexts that we have is Uganda and Tanzania, where we've got pigs in Uganda and dairy in Tanzania. And we are working to attract usually digital providers, solution providers who are already out there in the market providing solutions for other groups. And we want this space, the livestock space, to be attractive for them. And so that is one element or one component of this work. The second element is around adapting materials from research work, be they journals, be they reports, manuals, and we adapt these materials into user-friendly formats targeted at farmers or other value chain actors. And these, the end products or the outputs would be, in some cases, dramatized audio materials, like a small drama that you would listen on your phone, or played in a group setting, then followed by discussion. They could be in the form of an animated video that can be played on the phone or projected on a screen in a baraza or in a forum in the village, and then discussions can then take over. And the idea here is that we want to, the time that the extension worker or the vet doctor spends teaching the farmer something, we want to standardize that, and we want to quality control that message. In which case you find that maybe a visit to farmer A takes 30 minutes to explain a concept, but then the same person goes to farmer B and only spends 3 minutes to explain the same concept. So we want to take that discretion that has quality implication away from that person, so that they can then just handle the things that the farmer doesn't understand after playing this kind of materials that then will deliver a standardized message. The final component of this work is around documenting the use cases. The way you apply these solutions and these providers, these materials is quite contextual. So part of the work that we are doing is to document the use cases, like the farmer-facing use case. What does it take to target farmer in context X with products Y and Z? And how different is it when you target the same farmer in another context? So we want to document those kind of experiences. Other use cases include extension staff or extension cadres, village agents, and also other value chain actors like aggregators, which are also referred to as, in some places are called brokers. And some of the use cases include creating a market space where farmers, where a seller and a buyer can meet, where a seller can display their product and a buyer can see what products are available. In a nutshell, that is what we are working on in especially Uganda on pigs and Tanzania on dairy. And these materials that are mentioned in component number 2, we consider those as learning materials. So you're welcome in joining us and exploring this work that we're doing. Over to you, Iddo.
Thanks very much, Edwin. Let me actually pass it over to Mamusha to share with us a little bit more about the work he's engaged in.
Thank you, Iddo. The work in Ethiopia is mainly related to the herd health flagship here in Ethiopia. And mainly what we do is converting research products, research outputs into learning materials. And we developed a series of farmers and pastoralists and also for local level experts. Just examples include for training materials, for example, anthrax, cyanosis, and all of this field post-mortem examination. These are the kind of learning materials, training materials, converting, packaging, for development users. And the other one is these community conversation modules on a number of topics, such as, for example, on animal welfare, on gender and zoonosis, on antimicrobial use and resistance issues. So these community conversations bring these various modules, modules for community conversations. They bring community members and local level service providers in discussions, in engagement, so that it increases community awareness and community action, and ultimately it leads to uptake of actions that was engaged in Ethiopia. And the other one is with the priority country in Ethiopia, that is just gender capacity development of research and development partners. So, conducting needs assessment and developing training materials, which is also followed up. This has been also done previously, but we are just continuing on that. So, starting with this listening is actually followed by customized coaching and mentoring for the local research and development partners. They make action plans at the end of the training. So how they really translate that into knowledge, into change. How do they try to transform their research agenda at the local level, their development agenda at the local level, what they're really trying, so that they transform gender, and they bring about gender issues more into their research and development work. So this kind of coaching and mentoring and supportive kind of supervision for the development partners increases their capacity gradually to uptake this concept of gender integration in their research and development work. So I mean, through this kind of work, this kind of capacity development work enhances capacity of the local partners in engaging more with community members, but also community members themselves having more awareness and understanding and increased engagement into these animal health intervention programs. So, the development, the capacity work facilitates this kind of work like this. Over.
Thanks very much, Mamusha. So I'll go ahead and share the final presentation slide.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll go ahead and I'll share the final presentation slide on the capacity side, which is what we plan to do between now and December 2021 and are asked to you. So in terms of the key activities planned, since most of the work is actually taking place in the flagships, what we would like to do is to have a synthesis document that will bring all the work that's taken place throughout the years of the CRP on capacity development into a coherent and attractive document that shows both the work that's been done, but also what are some of the things that are advisable lessons learned in terms of going forward and positioning for future activities. As part of this, we foresee having individual case studies of various aspects of capacity development work in the CRP. These would be sort of like mini outcome stories, if you will, short profiles, etc. So we'll be looking to work with all the flagships and the priority countries to find out what you feel are potential contributions and how we can help bundle that all together. Now, in the previous slide, there was also a thumbnail of a report that the health flagship led by SLU did on a review of capacity development, the technical capacity development activities in the health flagship. So that's a great resource and fantastic that the flagship has undertaken it. And that might be something that other flagships may want to consider. That would be best led by someone technical, but from the central CRP CapDev, we can backstop and support and help coordinate. So our ask to you is also to let us know, ideally by the end of this month, but if not, then as soon as you can with your planning, what are your major plans, if any, on the CapDev side, so that we can keep those in mind as we're planning the next steps. And now let me hand over to Michael, who will handle some interactive chat feedback.